How much math does a pilot need to know from a math major?
The more the better.
Really? So where does I know it's probably, I'm assuming the area in which you use it changes between a 172 and a 747, or not?
No, sir.
Interesting. Where do you use your math on a day-to-day?
I struggle to think of a time where I don't, actually. Some of it, mostly pretty simple. You know, a lot of it's, just basic arithmetic, but you want to be able to do it in your head in such a way where you can make approximations and check the information, because when you put information into a computer, it doesn't make a mistake. It puts out something from which you put in. So
garbage in,
garbage in, garbage out. And the only way you can know that is if you have some kind of capacity outside of the box, outside of the actual computer, to think it or feel it or know it yourself.
Right.
So, for example, it's going to be, it's going to be a 12-hour flight to Korea or something, or a 14-hour flight to Korea. You're going to need obviously you're going to need more than 100 tons of fuel in a 747. That's not obvious to people who don't fly it, but you need more than 100 tons. So if you're doing all this math and you see at the end that you have, you have like 10 tons remaining, but you only have 80 tons of fuel on board, something's wrong.
So do you think that has more to do with math, or does that have more to do with situational awareness?
Well, it's situational awareness for sure, but if you can't do the math, how could you ever verify your hunch? I mean, you could sit there and think about it for a few minutes, and you can get your calculator out, which is what a lot of people do. And when you're on the ground, you have time to do it. Right. And especially if you have doubt, you might as well. But you at least have to notice.
Right. Another area I would think it would probably come in is if you're flying from here to Korea and you look at your distance remaining, you could quickly tell if there's like legs missing in the system, because if that number is too
100%.
small. Yeah.
And there's actually, the number usually goes the other way when someone puts in like an entire star or standard terminal arrival route. Someone puts the entire thing in, you got like 260 miles worth of star, and your distance to the airport is 90 miles, and they're cruising up there at 40,000 feet thinking, yeah, we'll start down here in about 10 minutes.
That's such a great point.
I'm like, hey, guy. and this is where situational awareness and experience comes in, but Korea is my backyard because I was flying in Taiwan for a number of years. So when I fly to Seoul like a couple times a week, fly to Hong Kong a couple times a week. And so I know these areas very well, and I know that they're going to descend us based on our altitude and our speed and our relative location on the star. So people constantly feeling rushed in Korea. Like, oh, man, they always slam dunking me. I barely make the altitude, and then they give me another one. It's like, well, hold on. They're waiting for you to get to the altitude so that they can give you another one. If you want to slow down and chill out a little bit, you can, and they'll just keep you pointing the other way.
Fascinating.
So guys get in a rush, and it seems they feel like they're chasing their instructions, but the instructions are chasing them, actually, and they just don't know it. But again, if you know that you're 90 track miles away, and if you don't know how many track miles away, you can just ask.
Right. And that's where situational awareness comes into play.
Correct.
I mean, if you need to look at the computer distance number to know how far you are from the airport physically, your situational awareness is in the gutter.
Yeah, already lacking. And so you're behind now, aren't you?
Behind.
And you're going to get slam dunked, and you're eventually going to get an unstable approach. And
right.
As we know, in aviation, unstable approaches are basically the leading cause in landing accidents.